This time on This Night Garage, we're headed to the junkyard. Oh yeah, we're going to buy some 4-cylinder parts, put them on the old LT1 motor, and finally get this thing ready to go in that car. I'll tell you all about it here in just a minute. If you will recall, I bought non-self-aligning roller rockers. So you have to use guide plates. Well, with the guide plates on, it brings our rocker stud up too high, and the rocker hits that with the 7-inch push rods. So I decided let's go with a 7.2 push rod, which is stock length. That's going to throw our geometry off, but at least our rocker won't hit the stud. Well, that night I got in the house and did a little research. Well, I'll tell you what I searched. I searched a LS1 rocker on a small block shimmy lathe. What I come across was pretty neat. It's a younger feller. He's looks like he might be early to mid 20s that come up with this idea. I can't take credit for it. But basically what he does is he takes the rocker arm off of a 2.2 liter GM 4-cylinder, and you have to have the rocker pedestal off of a 4.3 V6. Put the pedestal on, put the rocker on, put the bolt in. There you go. Of course, you got to have custom length push rods to set your preload. But there you go. You'll have, I ain't going to call it a shaft mount rocker, but it is pedestal mount. And it is LS style. And from the looks of it, I ain't sure that it ain't a better rocker arm than LS. We'll compare the two once I get them and we get back in here and get to working on this. But for now, let's jump in a truck, head to Nashville to the junkyard. We are headed down the Interstate 24, headed to Nashville, pull apart. I think it's on Centennial. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at the map. But it is 95 degrees out. Oh yeah, and humidity is about 7,000%. Lovely day to go to the junkyard. Anyway, I wanted to further explain why I want to do this. It all boils down to this. I think factory parts, for the most part, you can't hardly beat them, especially for longevity. Well, I mean, you know, they're engineered to last 200,000 or 300,000 miles. That's awesome. I know we are going to be putting it on a higher lift cam, but I still think they're a lot better lifter. It's an LS style. It looks almost identical to an LS lifter. And those guys, the LS guys, they're running 650 lift on a stock rocker, and that's quite a bit. You know, on old stock stamped steel, like what come on the LT1, 500. Well, I'm running stock rockers on Dude at 525 lift. That's probably pushing it. Anyway, you know, for several years now, you hear stories about rockers coming apart, the little needles going on through the motor on brand name stuff. You know, one guy say Scorpion, they're the best. Another guy say no sir, had one come apart, they're junk. Another guy say Comp's the best. No sir, come apart, needles went all through the motor, they're junk. It just on and on about every one of them. And like I said, factory parts to me anyway, they're the best as far as longevity up to a point. So that's why I want to do it, and it's sort of a cost thing too. These rockers up here, I think, are going to cost me a little over $6 a piece. Well, these rockers new, $35, $40 a piece. Rock Auto does have them for like $12 or $13 a piece. That's $200, $250, but they're not GM brand. These fellers here will be GM brand or what GM put in at the factory that were meant to run 200,000 or 300,000 miles. That's the main reason I want it. Also, I just like making stuff work where it's not supposed to work. You know, they belong on a 4-cylinder motor. Well, we're going to put them on a V8. With the blower that goes on this motor, same thing. It was meant to be on a Ford Lightning. Well, now it's on a LT1 350. That's true hot rod fellers. When you go to a junkyard and you just start looking at cars and measuring, and I wonder if that'll work here. Will that work on that? That's hot rod. I love doing that. And if this works, then probably from now on regular small block Chevrolet, this is what we're going to do for roller rocker. It's not a full roller. It's not a roller tip. It is a roller trunnion, however you say it. But anyway, that's why I want to do it, for cost, longevity. Anyway, let's hit the road, get to the junkyard. We are here, and I'll tell you, this is a pretty good sized junkyard. This is just the GM car section. They got like 5 or 6 different sections. Anyway, this here is a 2001 Cavalier 2.2, I think. We're fixing to pull this valve cover off and see. I forgot to tell you, it's got to be a 98 or newer 2.2 to have the roller rockers, and the 4.3s I think have to be a 2000 or newer to get that pedestal support thing. Anyway, let's pull this valve cover off, see what we got. Very, very hot. Get out of here, sir. This little feller here, how does it mount? That's a bigger socket. Get out of there. We got some stuff back here. Why? Why, GM? Why? I got to climb up in here so I can see what I'm doing. Oh yeah, that hurts my knees really good. What have we got? Of course, I got the wrong size socket. They are a 10 mm, I think. Oh yeah! All right, Mr. Throttle Bracket, you got to go somewhere. Now, that little fella out of the way. Now we get to the valve cover bolts. Oh yeah! Oh, look at here, fellas. We got us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's half of what we need. Let me get them out of there real quick. They are 10 mamas. Get these little fellas out of here. I'm gonna measure them push rods too, just out of curiosity to see what length they are. Another great thing is you don't have to run guide plates with these. Push rod is approximately 7 7/16, a little bit long, which I don't know what size we're going to have. It'll have to be a custom size, but remember that measurement, and if that's right length, you might come back and get them. Now, I'm gonna do what most people want. My nephews make fun of me of this because of this, because I don't cut wires usually, and I will put this stuff back because somebody might need something inside that motor. If I don't do this, it gets rained in, and well, it's completely ruined then. Call me weird, I don't care. All right, let's go find us another one. Found me another one. It's a 2000 Cavalier 2.2. Valve cover's already off. Oh yeah, all I gotta do is take the rockers off. I found an 03 over there. It's a 2.2, but it's an Ecotech overhead cam. So I don't, yeah, they ain't gonna work. Anyway, let me pull these off real quick. Well, might have to get my ratchet. Yeah. Let me get my ratchet, break him loose, and pull them off. Well, that was easy enough. We got 16 of them now. I'm gonna, if I can find one more of these little fellers here, they're pretty easy to get them off of. I'm gonna get one more set of 8, just in case, you know, there may be something wrong with one of them. Then we'll go looking for the 4.3s. Let me tell you about the 4.3s. I'm not sure I'm gonna fool with it. Most of those vehicles, well, my little red truck is 4.3, and they're just jammed in, and you gotta take a bunch of garbage off just to get the valve cover off. If I can't find one that's already halfway disassembled, well, I may just see if I can see what the cost is, just buy some new online, get them shipped. Anyway, let me see if I can find another 2.2, and then we'll look for a little 4.3. Well, I forgot to show you all my list. I made a list last night of all the 4.3 stuff. The rows, the car, color, the year, and then same thing for the 2.2s. And the next one is a 99 Cavalier on row 105, and it's blue. It's back, which way? This way. It may be over yonder. I think it is. Let's go over and look at it. Well, there it is. Of course, the motor's gone, but look at here. Just would you look at it, laying on the ground in front of this car for some reason. Pretty sure that's it. That valve cover looks awful familiar. Let's pull it off. These are loose. Somebody's done been in it. They may have stole the rockers. They might have the same idea I do. What we got? Oh, we got rockers. Look here. Let me grab them real quick. Well, I got them little fellers, and I know why it was took off now. Somebody stole them with a couple of push rods. Empty ways. Let's put this valve cover back on. Go look for a 4.3. Well, I found an 01 Blazer at 4.3. It's got some stuff out of the way. I think the alternator goes here. It's gone out of the way. Or maybe that's air conditioner. Anyway, it looks like it'd be fairly easy. Let me pull the valve covers off, see what we got. All right, let's see if we can get this in here off. Firstly, I can't see nothing. I gotta take your glasses off. Come on, man. Hell. Tell you what, I got hoses in the way. Let me go to cutting stuff. Get out of the way, little fellers. Get out of the way. Get out of here. Now I can see a little better. In my mind, this is how my brain works. In my mind, I'm thinking when I pull this valve cover off, dirt's gonna fall that motor, and that's bad. I don't realize that it's in the junkyard, so it don't matter. I gotta get up in here. Oh, my knees. Well, there's that. This thing here's got them, no it ain't. These are, yes it is too. These are the same rockers. Well, why ain't we using them? Oh, these are stamped steel with a roller trunnion. They're not like the others. I wouldn't be opposed to using these though. Anyway, let me get them off and get that little stand that we need. Here's the cramped area that I'm working in. I got both of them out of that motor. It wasn't too bad. But, you know, I need one more because there's only 3 per side on that motor. Mine's got 4 per side. I come across this LS and I was curious if it's got the same type of rocker arm, does it still have that same little pedestal? And, well, look here, it does. I took the valve cover off, got the rockers out of the way, and it's the same, but it's a different spacing between these two. The ones we're using are closer together. What I was going to do is, this should be, a 4.3 is basically a small block Chevrolet with the back 2 cylinders cut off. The spacing should be the same. So I was just going to cut them in 2s and use them that way. If you use the LS, you can, but you'll have to cut them in 1s. I'd rather do them in 2s, that way they can keep each other, you know, straight, parallel. So we won't use the LS. Let me go find another 4.3 and get one more of them, and we should be done. Well, I found one. It's got a bunch of stuff removed out of the way, so let's get these real quick like. Get out of the way, you son of a gun. What's got me? Well, I gotta have 2 hands. I gotta set y'all down. Whew, I'm getting sweat in my eyes. It's dead blame hot out here. But I did manage to get that one. So we got all the valve train stuff that we need. Also, you have to use the shorter bolts that come in the LS. So I got 16 of them off that LS motor there. Now, after I rest and cool off, man, it's hot. What I want to do next is I got a list of 6 cars that got rack and pinions I want to look at. If you will recall, the old Forte, we put a rack and pinion in it out of a 80s Sunbird Cavalier, that type of vehicle. Well, we got 6 of them here, potentially. You cannot buy them online anymore. I guess I bought the last 2 in existence because I cannot find any more. So I'm gonna go look at them. If they're the right kind, Then we'll come back when it cools off in a month or so, and we'll get 2 or 3 of them because they're pretty handy because they're center takeoff. You can make your tie rod ends as long as you want. That's why hot rodders used to use them all the time. Anyway, there's one right over here, one row over. Let's go look at it. Well, here's one right here, a 90 Sunbird, and sure enough, there it is right down in there. Y'all can't see it. I was hoping they were down below, but no sir, they're right here where you can't hardly get to them. If a fella really wanted them, you could get it out. We'll keep that in mind. I got 5 more to look at. Let me go find them. If there's one that's got the motor pulled out and still got the rack and pinion, I'll get it. I'll let y'all know. Here's an 88 Cavalier convertible. Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind having this car. I always like this body style. It's got one too, the rest of them don't. So that's 2 we could possibly come get. What in the world? I just saw this little fella right here. Y'all see that? What in the world? I'll leave you alone, buddy. Sitting on some eggs. Anyway, that's 2 that we can possibly come get if we want. I'm about to die. I'm gonna go in and pay for this stuff and get home where it's cool. Son of a biscuit. I'm about to die, fellas. I can't handle this heat. Whew. Anyways, I'm in the truck. I got everything paid for. Guess what I paid for 29 rocker arms and 3 of those pedestals? Nope. You are way off. $38.42. Pretty cheap, yo. You know, they got them listed as $6.25 a piece for the rockers. Well, I told her I had 29, so she rung it up and it was like $2.40 something. Which I'm still okay with it because they're good rockers. Well, another fella come along because she couldn't find the little pedestal thing that I got off the 4.3s. Well, he couldn't either. And then she told him he got 29 rockers. He said, oh, just put it down as a rocker assembly. $38.42. I'll have to remember that next time I do this. Tell them, hey, this rocker arm assembly, you know, put it down as that. Anyways, I'm about to die, sweating to death, burning up. I'm gonna go to the house, cool off, and I don't know, we may fool with it tonight, or I may say fool you on it, and fool with it tomorrow. I'll see y'all later. Well, I've told y'all before how I can spend 8, 10, 12 hours out here in the shop working on projects sometimes. Then I got to go in the house and spend 2 to 4 hours on the computer every night. I ain't got a lot of time. No, sir, sure don't. I definitely do not have time to be preparing meals every day. And you also know, I'm a growing boy. I'm wasting away to nothing. I got to have my food. Well, let me tell you about the sponsor of this week's video, which makes that so much easier. Factor. Actually, let me go in the house and show you how I can have a meal ready in 2 minutes. Living an active and healthy lifestyle isn't always easy, and cooking on top of work, kids, and relationship can feel overwhelming. Factor gives you the flexibility to stay active without succumbing to a quick cheat meal when short on time. 2 minutes in the microwave and you're done. Now you're fueled with a meal that supports the lifestyle you're trying to keep up with. They've doubled the size of their menu to 80 plus rotating weekly meals, with 3 times the new weekly meals than before, with more chef-crafted restaurant quality meals, 2 times more seafood, 2 times more high-protein meals that feature items that customers have been loving, including beef fillet, turkey, shredded beef, and meatballs. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code ThisAndThatFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code ThisAndThatFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Did I mention it's always fresh and never frozen? Well, now I have. This is truffle butter filet mignon, or as I call it, filet mignon. Now, I'm a meat and taters kind of guy. I kind of shy away from the vegetables, but this steak, pretty doggone good. Let me get done with this. We'll get back on this motor over here. Hopefully we can get it finished up this week. 'Tis the next day, and, well, fellas, I was toast after being in the heat yesterday. Yes, sir, it wore me out. But today, here's what we're planning on doing. We've got to get this rocker arm right here adapted to fit right there. Now that fella I told you about that I'm borrowing his idea from, this is how he did it. Well, let me just show you this firstly. This is the rocker arm stud that was in there. That hole is 7/16 14. The bolt that you use for these rocker arms, here's one right here. Also, oh, by the way, let me tell you this. You can't use these. I think I did tell y'all yesterday. You can't use the bolts that come with these rocker arms. They're too long. So you got to get you some LS rocker arm bolts, and that's what these are. Anyways, This bolt is 8mm. Well, that ain't gonna work. That's slipping in and out of that hole. You gotta do something with your threads. Well, what he does is he buys a Time-Cert Easy Lock. I don't know what the other name is. Thread adapter. Screws it in there, and the center part is the 8mm that he needs. Well, those little fellers are like $12 to $15 a piece, and I need 16 of them, and I don't feel like paying that kind of money for that. No, I just ain't gonna do it. So here's what we're gonna do instead. We already know the bottom part of the rocker stud. You know, it's right thread. It sticks in there. Well, I dropped it. Let me pick it up. Anyway, the bottom part of that stud fits in there. So what we're gonna do, drill a hole down through this part, that rocker arm, tap it out to the 8mm by 1.25 that we need, cut it off. That'll be our thread insert, our Easy Lock, our Time-Cert, whatever you want to call it. Screw her in there, Loctite it. We got to put these little pedestals on here, and then let me get me a rocker arm. I already took that little square part off the bottom. It's going to sit up there just like that right there, and it's going to go rocky, rocky, open valve. And there you go. So let's head on over to Mama's and get to working on this. Here's the thing, though. These rocker studs, they are hardened. I don't know how hard. I did scratch one on with a file, so it's not super hard. But they are hardened, so probably going to wear a few drill bits out drilling the hole. And there's a risk that we may break a tap, run it down in there, because I imagine all I'm going to find in town is a high-speed tap. Well, I got one in a thing over there, but they're cheap Chinese. I don't know that I'm going to use it. But anyway, we do run the risk of breaking off a tap or something because these are hardened. I hope that don't happen. But anyway, let's head over to Mama's and go to making us some, what do you call these? Thread adapters for our new rocker arms. Well, I had to put the little baby chuck on here. Hopefully this will chuck up on this little bolt. Oh yeah. Now what we got to do, first thing, we got a center drill. That way we can get us a center located, and then we can drill through it. Let us drill just a little bit to get center. Now, let me get me a drill bit. We'll see how this drills, because I don't know how hard this stuff is. Well, according to the chart, an 8mm by 1.25 thread needs a 255 thousandths drill. That's 5 over a quarter. Quarter's what I got. That's what we're going to use. I don't know how hard this stuff is. I don't think it's real hard, but we'll give her a little Earl anyway. Oh yeah, it's drilling pretty decently. We need to go approximately 550 deep. We'll go a little further than that. Probably like 650, 700. Well, how deep have we went so far? There's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. Almost 5/8. Let's go a little bit deeper. It won't matter if we go deeper because, you know, we're cutting it off anyway. Matter of fact, we need to go on maybe a little deeper than 3/4 because the tap, way it's made, yep. Let's just keep on trucking for a little bit. That right there's probably plenty. Let me get my tap out and we'll see if it's going to tap good. Well, the big chuck here won't hold my tap because it's too small. So I'd put a smaller chuck in the bigger chuck and then put the tap in it. We give them some Earl. Now I'm not even going to turn the machine on. All I'm doing here is trying to get this started straight. And I'm going to put her in freewheel. Put her in freewheel, that way it'll turn a whole lot easier. I'm gonna push on my, what's this thing called? Tailstock. I'm gonna push on the tailstock while I turn this by hand. Hopefully it'll start tapping. Oh yeah, she bit then. It's turning in this chuck here. I'm afraid we're gonna break this tap because these taps are cheap, very cheap. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. Yeah, before I do break that off in there, I'm gonna go to town and we're gonna get us a good tap. I shall return it a little bit. Back from town, got me a couple of taps. These are made in the US&A, so hopefully they'll be okay. I do wish I would have got a bottoming tap because this really don't start cutting threads till way up here, and that's dang near as deep as our hole. So we're gonna have to drill deeper. Matter of fact, let's just do that now before we even start. I'll drill her on through quite a bit. Give her a little dab of Earls. All right, how deep are we now? We are right there. I think that's probably plenty deep. Let me put that tap back in. Let's give her a crank of the Earls. Push on the tailstock. Turn the chuck. Yeah, I can already tell you that's cutting a lot easier. That other tap probably would have broke. Yep. Normally, I would put this in the back gear or turn slow. I'd get it started and just let it feed in itself, but I'm afraid to do that with these. I got a limited number. That tap is flexing a little bit, so she's doing some cutting. If I ain't careful, I will bottom this out probably. I tell you what I'm gonna do. Now that I got it started straight, let's put it in the vise and do it by hand. That way I can feel a little bit better about what's going on. I can tell if it's about to break or not. I got her in the vise. That way I can feel a little better. It is kind of hard, ain't gonna lie. Yeah, this gonna take a while here, fellas, because I gotta do this 16 times. Sure do. Give her some more Earls. I guess these things are a little bit hardened. Watch your eyes. Cutting some pretty threads. Let's go a little deeper though. Fill her up with some Earls. When you're doing something like this and the tap is going in hard, you don't want to turn it much and then back it off. It'll help clear the chips out, keep it from getting stuck and breaking. A carbide tap probably would do better, but they are more brittle and you're more apt to break them. So we'll just work with this high-speed steel. I might have to go buy more taps, but at least I won't be breaking them maybe. All right, let me get a bolt, run it down in there and see what we got. Watch your eyes. How far down can we go? Not real far. Huh. We got a ways to go, fellas. Sure do. That ain't even half of what we need. So let me keep on tapping. I'll be back in a minute. All right, I tapped it out as far as it'll go. It bottomed out. That's how far she's going. Tell you what, let's do some measuring because it ain't going to be but that long. That hole is 1 inch. We're going to cut this off here, so we only need this many threads, 535. All right, let's screw this back in. Well, actually, yeah, let's screw this back in. Now, what do we have left here? Showing about 300, 310. Our total threads are approximately 700, 400. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Let's take us over there to the lathe and cut this part off that we need. I'm gonna use a hacksaw to cut these off because my parting tool, where is it at? It's like 150 thousandths thick. That's gonna waste too much of my part, so we're gonna use a hacksaw which has a much thinner blade. That way I don't waste so much part. Hacky sack, here we go. There ain't a whole lot to saw through because the wall's pretty thin on this, but it is sawing like it's hardened though, sure enough. Ta-da! Now I gotta find it down here in this maze of shavings. I found it, I found it. Well, the bolt did not want to go all the way down through the thread, so I captured it in between two pieces of wood, you know, so I don't mess the outside threads up. Run my tap all the way through it, and y'all look here, fellas. She screws down all the way now. Oh yeah. I ain't got about 15 more to do. I hope to get them done today. Most likely, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Well, I come over to Mama's and get her car, put some brakes on the back of it. Look who's here. She lives over here now. What are you doing, old girl? You got a haircut, didn't you? Goodness, you sure did. How you doing, Miss Daisy? Say hello, everybody. You doing all right? You come over here to get some bologna? Well, let's get some. Come on. Crazy dog. Very quickly, let me update y'all on something. Some of you already know. You saw it on Facebook, and I put a post on here, YouTube, in the community post area. We're no longer doing 2 videos a week. No, sir. We're going back to just Wednesday night at 7. I'll give you a couple of reasons why. One, it was having the opposite effect that I wanted. Well, I did it mainly to see if I could grab more subscribers that are sort of shorter attention span with a 30-minute video. Well, I can't do a 30-minute video. It doesn't seem like there's just much in a 30-minute video. So I was doing 45 minutes, and that was running me more ragged than before. And I was juggling 2 or 3 different projects, and no, sir, it's just too much. Yep. Also, I gave y'all more content, and fewer of you were watching. I'll never understand that, but that's the way it goes. So we're going back to 2 or 1 video per week. The main reason why is, I won't go into big details, but looking at the analytics, this was the deciding factor to stop doing 2 a week. The Saturday video, I was making half the money as Wednesday, doing the same amount of work in this. No, sir, I'm not doing that. Nope. So we're going back Wednesday night, 7 p.m. That's it. So be looking for that. Till the next day, again, actually, you look outside of the door there, you'll see it's nighttime. It's about 11 o'clock at night. Yep. Been doing everything except for what I should be doing today. But I did want to come out here and work a little bit tonight. Just got done cleaning up all my rockers. They look mucho better than they were. And of course, my stands there, pedestals, whatever you want to call them. I got all my inserts made except for one. Let me go over here and show you what's going on. I ended up going through 5 taps. I could get about 3 per tap, and then it'd go to popping and screeching and carrying on. And like, nope, I ain't breaking a tap off in it, so I'd use a new one. Well, I bought all he had, the regular tapered taps. Went back today. All he had was a bottoming tap, and let me tell you, that ain't going to work. No, sir. She's screeching and hollering at me. So I said, no, let's just stop. I will, if I can find one on Amazon tonight that I can get tomorrow, I'll go ahead and buy it. If not, I'll go to somewhere else around town tomorrow and get a taper tap and finish that one. But for now, let's put this thing together as far as we can. Here's what we're going to do. Firstly, I'm going to get my inserts put in. We're going to put some Loctite on the outside. Screw them down in, make sure they're good and flush. There you go. After we do that, we got to cut these up. These here, they go a certain way too. Well, it says up. Also, know, by the way, if you want a part number, there it is. 12555582. Anyway, this come off the 4.3s. And I thought they would line up because a 4.3 is supposed to be basically a small block Chevrolet with the back 2 cylinders cut off. Well, they don't line up. These two here And these two here look like they do. I haven't confirmed yet. We'll find out in a little while. This one here does not. Well, if you put it over here, this is the only one that lines up. These two don't. I don't understand that. But if these two line up, then that's what we'll do. We'll put these here, chop her off, put that one there, cut another one, put it here, and then same thing. These two over here should line up, and then two individuals there. Let's get the inserts in first. Put a little dab of Loctite on that little feller there. Make sure that it goes below the surface. You don't want it sticking up any. Matter of fact, it stops just below it. These are helicoiled, by the way. I don't remember if I told y'all that or not. Yes, sir, they are helicoiled. And the little wire thing at the bottom that you use to spin it in with, it's still down in there. I think that's what we're hitting to make it stop when it does. That there's acting up. I had one that I messed the threads up on the outside, and that must be it. But we can do this right here, hopefully. Well, maybe not. Let's get a bolt. I don't know if that's going to work either, because it's going to bottom out, probably. Well, yeah, our bolt just bottomed out. So, let me see if I can find a metric nut. I probably don't have one, but I'll see if I do. We'll put it there and then run that on down. I shall return. Y'all look at here. I found a metric nut that fits. So, we'll run that down, jam that down. Maybe we can turn it on in. Oh yeah, I think that worked right there. Now, let me loosen this jam nut. See what we got. No, it's still above the surface. Let me work on that and see what I can do with it. Last one for the night. This here, I don't have one for it because I'm waiting on a tap. They've been going in pretty easy. I've had a couple that were aggravating like that right there. It wants to screw out on its own. So if it screws out that easily, normally it'll run itself in, or I can run it in with my finger. Let me put some more Loctite on it. Oh yeah, she's running in pretty easy. Now that we got all these down, I got one, like I think I told y'all, that one we had trouble with at first. It's a little bit proud. The only thing I know to do is get my die grinder, cover this up, and go to gnawing that down a little bit. But right now, let's just see if these line up. I'm gonna get 4 bolts. Let's see what happens. Do these line up or do they not? It's got a little notch right here, and there's one here too. It's hitting. I'm probably gonna have to cut that off. Well, let's just see. Them there do. What about these two right here? No, this one here's needs to go that way. So yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, that there ain't either. We're just going to have to cut them off. Let's do that. Let's cut one off and put a rocker on and check our push rod length. See what we need. All right, I got them all ready to go. Like I said, that one there's a little proud. So I'm gonna take my die grinder and do a little operating. This looks like I'm having surgery. Yep. Anyway, hopefully I can keep all the metal shavings out of the area here. All right, I think that's pretty good. Let me clean this up real quick. Now, I'm sure I'm going to have some comments talking about me grinding on this, brand new motor. Well, I have it covered up. I only have this area exposed. Just like if you was getting surgery. They put a whatever over you, and only wherever they're operating on is open. Well, y'all didn't know I was a surgeon? That's why I did that, because I used to be a surgeon. Anyway, let's get this on here and see what it looks like. Basically, all it is, this pedestal, we put that on there. Your rocker, now this got a certain way to go like the others. This is round, this is flat. You want your round going to the pedestal and put your bolt in there and crank her down. Well, I got the wrong I got the wrong socket or something. That's a 9, you jackass. That's pretty much it. I'm eyeballing it here. They could be lined up. Well, that there's good. That there could be lined up a little better. It's that way some. Anyway, let me get my checker push rod and let's see what kind of push rod length we're going to have. Per usual, I got ahead of myself. I got to get this rocker arm out of the way so I can put the push rod down in there. And then put it over the push rod and tighten her back down. All right, let's tighten this up until I feel a little bit of tension. Approximately right there. Now let me take this loose. Pull this little feller out and we'll measure it, see what we got. Y'all ain't gonna believe me unless I show you. I had to get my phone out to show you because we need to zoom in a little closer than normal. Y'all look at there. That push rod is just a hair under 7 inches. Well, it's looking at that, that's probably 30, 40,000, somewhere in there. If you will recall, the push rods that I bought, the 7-inch ones, I never sent them back. They're right over yonder. Guess what? We got push rods. I ain't even gonna have to order them. No, sir. It being a hair under 7 means we're gonna get pretty much the exact preload on the lifter that we want. Let me explain that. These, as you can already see, you just crank them down. There's no adjustment up here. You do it with your push rod length. That's the way an LS is. On a small block shimmy lay, let me find a stud and I'll show you. Well, I can't find a stud, so pretend this bolt is the stud that was normally here. You put your rocker arm over it, put your pivot ball over it, put your nut over it, you tighten that nut down. You know, you hold your push rod, turn it till you feel resistance. I go half a turn and that's the preload. Well, a half a turn on these studs, the factory ones, are the factory threads are 3/8 24, and 24 means there's 24 threads per inch. Well, if you do the math, that nut's got to turn 24 times to travel 1 inch. So if I go only a half a turn, do the math, it's approximately 20 thousandths. Preload is what I normally run. And just looking at this, we got 20 thousandths plus some. So I think we'll be okay with the 7-inchers. Just to be on the safe side though, let's put a push rod in, see what we got. Pushing rod going in. You want to make sure you're on your base circle of the cam. Lock her down, boys. Lock her down. Now, what we got? No, sir, ain't gonna work. We got some wiggle room here. Let me get a feeler gauge, see what we got. Well, it appears that we got about 10 thousandths, maybe 11 thousandths clearance. No, sir, these aren't solid lifters, so you do not want any clearance here. So what I'll have to do is order 7-inch and 50 thousandths long push rods. So that means it's gonna be another couple of days before we get done with this. Dang you, I thought we were almost done. Well, here's something else we need to check too that I forgot about. Make sure our rocker's not going to bind in here. Now this won't be a true test because my lifter ain't pumped up. Therefore I won't be getting full lift. Let's just see what happens though. Right there, we got more than enough clearance. Tell you what we can do, not tonight, but whenever I put my distributor thing over here to prime the oil system, it'll pump that lifter up. We'll check it then. See what kind of clearance we got. One more thing, and I got to go in the house. Some of you might be wondering, well, why don't you just use an LS rocker? Great question, and glad you asked. Let me explain. LS lifters, that's this one right here, they're a 1.7 to 1 ratio. Small block shimmy lays from the factory are 1.5 to 1. The one we're using, 1.54 to 1. That in and of itself, the different ratios, that's not a problem. This one here will actually give you more lift, the 1.7 to 1. If you will recall, the ones we were going to use, they were 1.6 to 1. The issue with not being able to use an LS lifter is how they raise the ratio on the LS lifter. Small block Chevrolet from the factory is a 1.5 to 1. The way they change the ratio is the pivot point right here out to the valve end, that stays the same. They change the ratio by moving your push rod in for a higher ratio, out for a lower ratio. This is the 4-cylinder one that we're going to use. It's actually a 1.54 to 1, which will give us a little more lift over the stock 1.5 to 1. But if you look, let me line them up best I can eyeball. If you look, the contact patch where it hits the valve, they're pretty much the same. They do the same thing. They change ratio from here to here. This to here is the same. Well, LS, no sir. They had to go and screw everything up. Let me get these lined up real quick, and I will show you. It ain't a whole lot, but it is some. The contact patch on the LS lifter, further out that way, because instead of changing the ratio from here to here, they change it from here to here. If I was to use the LS lifter, it will, well, it'll be pushing on the, you remember our contact pattern on top of the valve? Well, it'll be way off. It'll be way out to the edge. It'll be side loading the valve stem, and it's possible it could come off the edge of the valve stem. You don't want that because, well, worst case scenario, it come off, it hits the valve retainer, pops the locks off, drops the valve, busts the piston, messes up the cylinder. You don't want to do that. That's why though, because they changed the ratio in a different way, and the contact pattern on your valve, it'll be side loading the valve stem. You don't want to do that. That's why you can't use an LS lifter. That's why we got to use this little fella right here. Anyways, going in the house. See y'all tomorrow. Well, I got to run around town for a little bit this morning and trying to figure out which vehicle do I want to drive today. Well, I can't drive those two because they ain't ready. The old Jolly Green Giant, I stole the dipstick tube out of it for the Trans Am, so I can't drive it. I got one coming. I drove dude the other day. The 40's blocked by the S10. I thought, well, I'll tell you what. Let's take the danged old Silver Bullet. Guess what, fellers? Yeah, it's living up to its name. It's broke something else. Nothing major, but it's just, you know, that little nitpicky stuff pecking at you all the time. Fired it up, and I wanted to adjust on the carb a little more, so I popped the hood, and well, I noticed liquid all down in here. Well, I thought this sucker's done sprung a radiator leak. No, sir, it is not. This hose, which is brand new, well, 6 months old, you ought to see the condition it's in. It's just cracked all to pieces, shooting fuel everywhere. This pile of junk has got to go away from my house pretty soon. Anyway, let me see if I can fix it and then get to running around town. Hopefully it don't leave me sitting. Well, I don't see any more leaks, so I think we're good. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. Electric fan, as soon as you turn the key on, it starts up. Shouldn't be doing that, you know, until it gets to, I think I got it set to 115 on the controller, which is probably 170, 180. Oh, and I don't think I told you all this. One of the fans come apart. If you will recall, you know, it started running a little hot coming back from North Carolina. That's why. The fan spun itself off of the motor. Yes, sir. It's just, it never ends with this pile of garbage. It's going to get sold here for too long. Anyways, I got to run to town. Been a couple of days. Yep, sure has. And look at here what I got. We got some pushing rods that are, I don't know if y'all can see that or not, 7 inches and 50 thousandths. They are hardened. They didn't need to be, but that's basically when you're buying non-stock length, they're all going to be hardened. Yep. Also, let me show you this. This right here, hopefully y'all can see that. I will pull it back here and zoom in. That stopped up. There's little brown stuff in the middle. It would probably blow out, but I'm not banking on that. That, my friends, is why you clean even brand spankingly new push rods. So let me go blow them out. I've actually done look through all of them. They're clean. Let me go blow this one out. We'll get them put on the motor. Let us begin installing the push rods. I got them all blew out. I got all the little, what do you call them, pedestals? Cut, ground down. Let's get this little feller done. I'm tired of fooling with this motor. This has been one of the longest builds I've done, I think. It's ridiculous is what it is. All right, here we go with our little rocker arm modification. Remember, if you do this mod, these little trunnions got a certain way they go. One side's round, one side's flat. The round sits down in the pedestal. The flat is for the bolt side. Look here, fellers. We got GM 2.2 liter 4-cylinder rocker arms on a small block shimmy lathe. LT1 to be specific. Oh, yeah. And I'll show you something else, too. I put my phone right here, you know, because it does better up close. Tighten this rocker arm. And, well, just watch. You'll see the lifter go down. That's your preload. Yep, sure is. It's by math, we should have about 40 thousandths preload, because if you will recall, we had 10 thousandths clearance here on a 7-inch push rod. I got 7-inch 50 thousandths. You take away the 10 here, and you should theoretically have 40, but you know, you got a lot of deflection and stuff there too. But yeah, we'll have about 40 thousandths preload. And if you will recall, I told you normally I do a half a turn. If you do the math on 3/8-24 studs, that's only 20 thousandths preload. So I think we're good on there. But let me set y'all up on the camera stand. It got some weird noise going on. I've turned it over 2 or 3 times. There's a lot of clicking and clacking going on. Could be due to lifters being dry. We'll pump them up in a minute, but let y'all hear that. I'm gonna set my mic right down in here. Maybe y'all can hear it a little bit better. I don't know if y'all could hear that or not, but it's a tink, tink, tink. I don't know if it's the valve closing or due to no oil in the lifter. When it comes back up, it's sort of making a little noise. I don't know. Let's fill it up with Earls. Put our drive shaft down in here. Get it pumped up. But before we do that, let me show you something here in the floor. Remember the other day how I told you I only had one of my oil pan rails? Well, look here. That ain't even the one that belongs on this motor. I found these over in the garage. That's the ones that go on it. So let me flip it over and put them on. Then we'll fill it up with Earls. Yes, I am changing this one out because, well, I want the one that came on it to be on it. Call me weird. I don't care. There you go, little feller. You are back home where you belong. I debated on which weight oil to use. Normally I do 1540, but well, I don't know what to run, to be honest, because we got 1,000th more clearance on the rods than I wanted, roughly. And then our mains, we're only at 2 1/4, 2.5 on them, a little tighter than I like. And normally I'd run 1540, but I decided let's just do 10W30. And if our oil pressure is a little low, well, you know what we can do? We can go to 1540 and see what happens. So that is the plan. But let's get this filled up with Earl and get her, what do you call it, primed. Let's pour a little bit on the rockers if I can keep from making a mess. Oh no, no, we can't do that. Anyway, let me get this poured in here. I'll be back and we'll prime her a little bit. All right, got everything hooked up. Had to go find me a plug for my Earl sending unit hole. I also know, by the way, I forgot to tell y'all, I torque-alarked the rocker bolts to 22 feet-inch-pounds, so they're all good. Let's get us some Earl stir in here. Holy crap, what have I got going on here? Well, let me show you what's going on here. Well, we've got a mess, is what we got. It's way over yonder at the lift. Yep, there's a plug above your oil filter. Well, it's missing. Yep. Let me find one to stick in there and we'll try this again. Well, let's try this again and see where else we got some plugs out. There's 2, one here and one here. I don't think they go in the water jacket. No, that goes all the way through back here. That one there. I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually, but let's get her pumped up a little bit. Well, as you can see, we now have Earls on all of the rockers. Yep, sure do. Now what I want to do is, remember how I told you we need to pump the lifters up so we can get full lift and see what kind of clearance we got on our rocker arms? Well, let's do that real quick. All right, let's get to turning, and when I get this to what I think is max lift, we'll have a look-see at it. Right there. Very quickly before that bleeds down. Oh, we got plenty of room. Yes, sir, sure do. More than enough. I figured we would. Let me show you. If I can get the camera in there. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but way on up in there, you probably can't. I think we got plenty of room. Yep, sure enough. Now what I gotta do is pull that out, get my half distributor in, and I gotta get some valve covers. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here comes our little drive shaft to turn the Earl pump. I'm trying to get it lined up about like that is turned. Let's try that there, see what happens. No, sir, not yet. Well, this doesn't have to be timed, you know, like a distributor, so let's just rotate the motor over till it falls in, I guess. Only thing I know to do. There she goes. I do have a wee bit of Loctite on this bolt too, because we don't want this backing off, absolutely not. And that clicking noise that we had in here, it's still doing it. It ain't as bad, but it's still doing it. I hope that we ain't messed up by putting these rocker arms on here. Also, I think it's very stupid for this to be plastic, because that could easily be broken by tightening this up too much. We're going to tighten her up right there and leave her. Well, now I need valve covers. Well, I got one here. That's the one that come off this motor. I got one over there on the floor that did not come off this motor. If you will recall, on Jolly Green, alternator sits here, so you got to have a cutout in your valve cover. It's LT1 specific. Well, we stole it from this motor. It's sitting on Jolly Green. I'm gonna go out there and steal it, you know, so we'll have a valve cover, and then I'll either have to get one for Jolly Green, or we might take a Hummer to that over there, see if we can't beat it in enough to clear the alternator. Anyway, let me go steal it, get the valve covers on. Got it off Jolly Green. See this cutout here? It ain't a whole lot. See that cutout there, and then that in there? Well, I took a Hummer, whooped on this one. I don't know if it'll work or not. Let me go try it and see. Put that on Jolly Green, and then we'll put that back where it goes. Well, it sort of worked. Not really. It hits a little bit. There's a rib running this way on the back of the alternator, and it's hitting right here. I could probably smash it in a little more. I might do that. I could grind the rib off the alternator, or if I can find a set on eBay or wherever, I'll get them tonight. But anyway, we got the valve covers on. As you can see, I got my sparking plug wires run. I ain't got no spark plugs. I got to get some, but I love these little doodads here. I put them on there a long time ago. But anyway, the main reason I wanted to get the valve covers on there tonight is, well, let me just show you. 11 years ago, I tore this motor down, and I've been waiting all that time to do this right here, even if it is just temporary. You know, look at there. She's back home where she goes. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir, it's just temporary, because we got to make us a gasket between this top plate and the bottom part. And, of course, I ain't got my intake gaskets in here either, but I just wanted to see the feller back on the motor. There you go, buddy. You're back home after 11 years. Sure does look pretty good, though. Yep. Here's what we're going to do next. I'm going in the house, and here's why. For the last 3 or 4 nights, I've completely forgot to take my knee medicine at night. You know, I have to take it twice a day, or I can't walk. Well, I can't walk. Yes, sir, it's absolutely killing me. I take little baby steps right now. So I'm going in the house, get off my knees. My little pea brain, it can only take in so much, and only so much can come back out. And well, I'm at my limit, I guess. So I got to do something to remind myself to take my medicine. I don't take a whole lot of medicine. That's the only thing I take at night. Anyway, go in the house, get off my knees. Tomorrow, we got to do some work to the clutch, throw out bearing stuff. I'll explain it tomorrow. We are gathered here today to make this transmission with this motor. If anyone has anything bad to say, speak now or forever hold your peace. Anyway, that's what we're doing. We got to get that transmission to here, but our clutch is not going to be a stock LT1 clutch. Let me explain. Stock LT1 clutch. Well, let me start over. Let me get a throw out bearing out of this box, and I'll explain it to you. This is how a regular small block shimmy lay clutch would be. Finger sticking out this way. Throwout bearing goes here, clutch fork here, and this bearing pushes in on these clutch fingers to release the clutch. Well, an LT1 is just the opposite. It's a pull type. It pulls from the inside, and the fingers go out this way to release the clutch. The LT1 clutch, the housing here, is aluminum. I didn't like that. You know, I told y'all before, back when I was planning this build, I was looking for 700-800 horsepower and that much torque. I got to thinking, you know, I'm not a fan of aluminum clutch housing. Me dump that clutch at the drag strip coming off the line, that thing exploding, coming through this aluminum bell housing through the floorboard and taking my feet off. I wasn't a fan of that. Now, steel bell housing would take care of that, but at the time they were way too expensive. I found a cheaper alternative. This is how it goes. This flywheel here is not an LT1 flywheel. It's for just regular old one-piece rear main seal 350. Then I got the spec stage 3 plus, meaning it'll hold, I think, like 750 horsepower or feet pounds of torque, whatever. That looks like copper. I don't know what it's made of, but it's probably not going to be great on the street. But at the time, I wasn't planning on doing a whole lot of street driving with it. More racing than anything. But anyway, spec stage 3, regular old small block Chevrolet type clutch. Then, instead of using a regular throwout bearing, we're going to be using hydraulical. Look at there, fellas. That's what them two things are for. One is the pressure in and out. Then this over here's bleed. And there's your throwout bearing. See it spinning. It'll go there, pressure come in, push on that, release clutch. Also, they don't make one of these for the T56, the LT1s. This slips over this shaft. Well, when I got it, when I put it on that shaft, it just flopped because it was too loose. I don't know if you can see or not. There's a little bushing sleeve, whatever you want to call it, I had to make right there. It's 35 thousandths thick. I made that 10 years ago. Anyway, it makes that fit tight on that so it ain't wobbling. And then, to be able to do all of this, to get the clearance you need from your throwout bearing to here, you have to space the transmission back. You do that with this 3/8 spacer that goes on the back of the block right here. And in order to use this, you've got to have longer dowel pins right here to help line it up, and an extended pilot bearing. Has that got one in it? No, sir, it don't. So we just drive that little feller in there. Extended pilot bearing. Then, you know, this hydraulic throwout bearing is not meant for this car because it had a fork. So we got to rig up something to keep this little feller from trying to spin. You know, I have a hose here, but it'll still try to spin, and it may rip that hose in two. So you got to have some kind of pin. Oh, here they are right here. That's a bag of shims that goes with it, and it's got 2 pins. Well, that pin will stick right here, and these fittings will hit it going either way. It won't let it spin. Newer ones have a fork and then a pin sticking up, and it fits real tight in that fork. Well, this is older. It ain't got that, but it'll work. What I got to make is, where is it at? Here it is, over here. The original clutch fork bolted right here to this. I broke 2 clutch forks in this thing, by the way. Were they steel? They may have been, I don't know. But I broke 2 clutch forks. Matter of fact, one time I was across town I was taking night classes out there at Fort Campbell. As soon as I pulled out of my parking spot, clutch fork broke. I drove it all the way home, through town, through a bunch of red lights. And, you know, I had to pull it out of gear when it come to stop sign, shut it off, put it in gear, start it in gear, and then it would shift fine without a clutch, you know, going easy. But anyway, I just remember that. But the clutch fork bolts right here, so we're going to make some kind of bracket to come out here and let that pin stick up here and keep that throwout bearing from trying to turn. Of course, I got to rig up some kind of hoses. We'll put a hose on here and run it out, you know, so we can get to it easily to bleed it. Anyway, that is pretty much the clutch setup. So let me go ahead, get the flywheel on here, get everything bolted up, and then we got to make some measurements because you got to have 150 to 200 thousandths clearance from your throwout bearing to your fingers, because as the clutch wears, these fingers grow, and you want to leave enough clearance there to allow that to happen. Anyway, let me get some stuff bolted to this, and then we'll get our measurements and we'll make brackets and do all that kind of stuff. First thing we got to do is knock these dowel pins out of this block, put them other ones in there. I hope they come out easily, but they probably won't. Well, I was wrong. Now let's knock this little feller back in. I don't really know how far it needs to go. Right there, because it bottomed out. All right, that was easy enough. Now let's put this pilot bearing in. I gotta stand up to do this, so y'all are in my way. Get out of my way, sirs and ma'ams. All right, I think that's it. Flywheel time. Let's get this little fella bolted on. Make sure we're good and clean everywhere. I don't remember on these. I just hope I don't drop this on my foot. All right, don't fall, don't fall. Let me hit it with my Baraka hammer. Loctite the bolts. $75 feetage pounds. All right, that's done. Let us get us this Clutchus Discus Onus. OSKS? OSKS. Does have a trend side, flywheel side. It's pretty self-explanatory. Put that fella right there. Here's what I have done. I don't have any bolts for this pressure plate. These are the LT1 bolts. They're really long. This is the length that I need, but I want them in grade 8. The store's done closed because I got a late start today, as usual. So what we're going to do is use grade 5 bolts for now, just to get our clearances set, and then tomorrow I will go get grade 8 bolts for this. You don't want to just jam this down all at once. Now, that's good enough for us to get us a clearance measurement. That is really tight. Yep. I don't know if I like that, but we got to take it back loose, so it'll be all right. Now we get to put our 3/8 spacer on, if I can figure out how the little feller goes. Is it like this right here? Yeah, there we go. Ta-da! I forgot to tell you all this. McLeod clutches. They're the ones that told me how to do this 10, 12 years ago. They had done it on, I guess, a company car, you know, experimenting with stuff. But now, let me think, is it Ram Clutches? Makes a kit. You don't have to have this spacer. They'll sell you this clutch and the proper throwout bearing that's thin enough, and that's it, as far as I can understand. I would have got that, but I already bought this stuff, so that's what we're doing. Bell housing time. Now we got to get a measurement from this surface of the bell housing to these fingers here. Need a straight edge. Hold it up here and measure it. You might ask, well, why do you put it like that and not like that? Great question. Glad you asked. This could be bowed a little bit. If you do that, well, it's going to give you an inaccurate measurement. It's not likely to be bowed this way. Anyways, you put it up here, just like that right there, and you come here to the edge of that finger. You go just like that right there. We got 2 inches and 405 thousandths minus, it should be an inch. Well, it's 980. Let me do a little math. I'll be right back. I done forgot what the measurement was. What in the world, man? I'm telling you. I ain't got no memory. 2.400 minus 0.980. 1.42. Now we got to go to the transmission and measure over there. I'm going to do this without any shims first, just see what we got. But make sure this is collapsed all the way. Put the little feller on there where he's going to go. Push him all the way back. You want to measure from here, because that's the same place that we measured over there. Put this little feller approximately right here. Measure from there to there. We got 2 inches and 30 thousandths. Let me do some math. Did a little math. Here's what I come up with. That's what we got here. 1 inch and 420 thousandths. This is what we got over here. 1 inch and 50. Do the math on them. That leaves us with 370 thousandths clearance. We need 150 to 200. That's too much. Well, but if you look at this, 370 thousandths, that's how thick that plate is. If you didn't have that plate, you'd have 0 clearance. So that's why you got to have it. Anyway, we need 170 to 200 thousandths worth of shims. Let me measure them, put them on there, and we'll take another measurement. I got 3 shim limbs. Putting them in just, which way did they go? Just like it right there. What we got? We got approximately, exactly. Let me do some math. I'll be right back. Well, here's our final maths. This is with 2 shims. I got 200 thousandths clearance. This is with 3 shims. Got 145 thousandths. I would go with the 2 shims, but that's kind of a short throwout bearing. It ain't got but a 1/2 inch travel, so we'll go with the lesser. Hopefully that's enough. If not, we may have to close it up and put another shim. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it does when we get put in the vehicle. But for now, I got to make me a bracket to bolt to here. Come out here from my little thing to stick up and keep this little fella here from trying to turn. Let me figure that out. With Artiz, hard to see because all this is kind of dark, but it's bolted right there. It's just a piece of 1/4 inch metal. Comes up here, and it goes up here, and then there's my pin right there. It goes clicky-clacky. That's all it can do. It can't spin. That's the whole purpose of it. Anyways, glad to get this done, and I reckon we are done. Next thing to do, put the little fella in the car. Well, I got to get spark plugs and stuff like that, but yes, sir. She's about ready to go in. Dare I say it? Is it possible? I know it's a tall order for a one-man show, but can we get this done next week? I don't know. It's not your typical just 350 carburetor, 4-speed or automatic. Drop it in there, put a few wires on it, and go. No, this is got a lot of electronical bullcrap plus the blower. Got to tune it with a laptop, and yeah. I do believe we will hear it run, but can we get it completely done out there on the road in front of the house doing a burnout? I reckon you'll just have to wait till next week to see. So I'll be looking for that. Anyway, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit the like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. And until next time, go do something. Blur, blur.